everyone. Welcome to Barca News and welcome to the post-match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end. My name is Mo, and today we're going to be talking about the Barcelona versus Elche match where Barcelona won 3-1 with goals of Lamine Yamal, Ferran Torres, and Marcus Rashford. Now, this was a very important victory that Barcelona needed because Real Madrid had defeated Valencia during the day of yesterday. And as such, they had extended their lead over Barcelona by 8 points. But by winning today, Barcelona cut that distance down to 5. So it was a very important victory, very key victory to stay in this La Liga race. And today we're going to be analyzing this victory. Now, as always, I do like to discuss the lineup first. Then we talk about general team sensations. And finally, we'll end by talking about specific players on the squad. But let's start with the lineup because this is the lineup that Hansi Flick selected for today's match with a few changes. Of course, on goal, Wojciech Szczesny in the place of Joan Garcia, who is hopefully expected to come back next weekend against Celta Vigo. If not, Barcelona might wait until after the international break, which would mean he would be coming back against Athletic Club de Bilbao on November 22nd, which is also when Barcelona expect to return to the Spotify Camp Nou. Our two fullbacks, Jules Koundé and Alejandro Balde, and our two center backs, Ronald Araujo and Eric Garcia. So here we have the first change of the lineup with Ronald Araujo taking the place of Pau Cuarci. My guess is that Hansi Flick has given him some rest, kind of like a load management, especially since we do have that Champions League match midweek against Club Brugge. In the midfield, in the double pivot, here we have our second change for this lineup where Marc Casado taking the place of the injured Pedri, who would have also missed this match regardless because he did receive 2 yellow cards, which of course became a red against Real Madrid. So Marc Casado in the place of Pedri right next to Frankie de Jong, Fermin Lopez in the attack in mid, and then of course our front three being Lamine Yamal and Marcus Rashford on the wings with Ferran Torres in that center forward position. Now, as far as general sensations of the team, I have to say today we saw two completely different halves. The first half, we saw a Barcelona improve. We saw a Barcelona that was more similar to last season's Barca rather than this season's, where the first half Barcelona started the match pretty good, lots of intensity, maintaining that high press, collective high press, effective high press, a press that, well, kept Elche boxed in their own half. And even when Elche did manage to cross into Barcelona's half, the press would then force Elche to go back to their own half. And as a result, Elche didn't really do much during the first half. In fact, the goal they scored was pretty much the only chance and the only shot that they had on goal because that's how effective Barcelona's press was. Now, Barcelona's press was also effective in the 2 goals that Barcelona were able to score. The first one, result of Marcus Rashford putting pressure on Elche's defender who was trying to build from the back. As a result, Rashford forced that player to make a mistake and he passed it to Alejandro Balde. Balde took the ball or drove the ball all the way down right outside the box. Then he made a diagonal pass where Lamine Yamal was, thanks to his control, was able to throw the 2 defenders off balance and put in a great shot for Barcelona's first goal. And for the second goal, same thing, right? Elche's defender makes a mistake, passes it to Fermin Lopez, who drives the ball all the way into the box, puts in a cross to the penalty spot, and there was Ferran Torres coming in from the back. All he has to do is push it in for Barcelona's 2-0. So Barcelona maintained lots of intensity, really good, effective high press. But then after, I want to say the 20th, maybe the 25th minute, Barcelona did relax a little bit. They dropped the intensity. They weren't pressing as effectively as they were. And as a result, Elche started building some momentum. And then thanks to a gruesome mistake by Ronald Araujo, who, well, he makes actually 2 mistakes. First, he takes a step forward in trying to leave Rafa Mir offside, even though Rafa Mir was taken off from his own half, so he would have never been offside. So Araujo should have been able to catch that. He should have been able to see that Rafa Mir wasn't going to be offside, and therefore, instead of taking a step forward, he should have started already running towards Szczesny's goal in order to stay with Rafa Mir. He doesn't. And as a result, Rafa Mir gets a couple of steps ahead of Ronald Araujo. And then Ronald Araujo chases Rafa Mir down, catches up to him, because we know Ronald Araujo can do that. He has the physical capability of chasing down players. But once he catches up to him, he kind of slows down. He just stays static. He's waiting for the referee to blow the whistle and rule an offside. And of course, this is something we've seen time and time again. In fact, we had seen it several minutes before the goal where Elche were caught in a very obvious offside. They put a cross into the box. Elche's attacker kicks it. Wojciech Szczesny is able to stop it. It was an offside. But the reason why that Elche attacker was able to even take the shot, because Araujo the whole time, he just stays standing with his arm raised, asking for an offside. So we've seen Araujo do this time and time again. He had done it minutes prior to the goal. He does it again, and this time, of course, Rafa Mir, with all the time, all the space in the world, puts in a beautiful cross, or a shot, to the far post and scores Elche's goal. Their only chance, their only shot, and results in a goal thanks to Ronald Araujo's mistake. Now, after that, Barcelona kind of bounced back, generated a few more chances, but they weren't able to convert. And then the first half ended with 2-1 in favor of Barcelona. And then came the second half, which was completely different from the first half, because whereas the first half, Barcelona looked more similar to last season's Barca, during the second half, they looked like the Barcelona from this season. Barcelona that was playing with very little intensity. They weren't really pressing. They weren't really generating much. Very lazy and sluggish ball movement and players movement. And as a result, well, Elche were able to build up a lot more momentum. Elche were creating a lot more chances, generating a lot more danger. They hit the post twice, which is very concerning because those two could have went in and then it would have been 3-3. But nonetheless, thanks to one brilliant play where Marc Casado puts in a beautiful pass to Fermin Lopez. Fermin Lopez crosses it from the right to the left side. Rashford brings it down. And then with two defenders on him, is able to get one hell of a banger, one hell of a shot, an absolute cannonball that completely blew apart Iñaki Peña's goal. And Barcelona were up 3-1. Barcelona generated a lot more chances. It was mostly thanks to Elche, who advanced their lines and were trying to cause damage. So Barcelona were doing a lot of passes to Elche's defenders back, but they weren't able really to convert them, and the match ended 3-1. Now, as I said, overall sensations, two completely different halves. The first one, Barcelona, an improved Barcelona from the previous matches, where the second half, it was the same crap as against Madrid, as against Girona, Sevilla, Olympiacos, same crap time and time again, which it is a little bit concerning. But at the same time, it is positive, or was a little bit positive, to see how Barcelona improved during the first half. So here we have kind of like two different Barças. If Barcelona can continue to build up on what they did during the first half, then of course we do have a good shot at competing for everything. But if Barcelona continue the trajectory of what we saw during the second half, then I think this team is in deep, deep trouble. Now, as far as the players themselves, a few players I want to talk about. First of all, Lamine Yamal. I like what I saw from Lamine Yamal during the first half. He was, dribbling players. He was generating danger. He scored his goal. I liked what I saw from Lamine Yamal during the first half. Second half, he disappeared again, kind of like what he's been doing in the last few matches. I don't know if it was because the pain from the pubalgia maybe started kicking in again, but Lamine Yamal, just like the team, had two different halves. The first one, much improved Lamine. He looked more like his old self. The second half, he looked more like the recent Lamine Yamal, which of course begs the question on why did Flick wait so long to bring in Rooney Bardghji. Rooney Bardghji came in, I think it's at the 85th minute or 84th minute. I think this would have been a good place to have brought in Rooney Bardghji at the 60th minute, given that Lamine Yamal had already disappeared. And then, might as well bring in Rooney, who maybe he could have given you something that Lamine Yamal wasn't giving you. Not to say that Rooney can give you things that Lamine can't, because, of course, Lamine is much better. But at that point, Lamine was pretty much ineffective. He was gone. He had ghosted. So, of course, Rooney could have given you something that Lamine couldn't, because Lamine wasn't giving you much. I also want to talk about Frankie de Jong, Marc Casado, and Fermin Lopez, because I was very, very impressed with our midfield. I thought they did a spectacular job, especially Frankie de Jong. I think the fact that he was playing next to Marc Casado really helped us see that more offensive side of Frankie de Jong, right? Because usually when Frankie plays with Pedri, it's Frankie who stays back to defend, and it's Pedri that plays in more advanced roles, making those forward runs. Today, since he does have Casado, who's more of a defensive profile, it was Casado who was staying back, and it was Frankie de Jong that was making those forward runs. Frankie de Jong very active in the attack, and that's kind of like the Netherlands Frankie de Jong, right? Because Frankie, when he plays with the Netherlands, it's usually his teammate that stays back, and he's the one who makes the forward run. So great match by Frankie de Jong, very active in the attack. Fermin Lopez, as always, very electric, lots of intensity. He had, I think, 2 assists, if I'm not mistaken. And then Marc Casador, really good in that defensive role, intercepting Elche's balls and then solving situation, very tight situation, very difficult situations with his quick thinking. He's really good about getting rid of defenders around him by a quick one-touch pass. So really incredible job by the midfield today. That really didn't make me miss Pedri. Not to say that I don't miss Pedri. You're always going to miss Pedri because he is the best midfielder in the world. But today, you did not get that feeling that, oh man, our midfield is in trouble because Pedri's not there. Not at all. I think Casado, Fermin, and Frankie de Jong did a great job in the midfield. Today, Koundé, a little bit of improvement, but we're still seeing a very soft, very lazy Koundé. And again, I think it's time to start thinking about benching him and playing someone in his place. Balde today, a much better match than against Real Madrid. And then, of course, Araujo with that really, really bad mistake. And I'm still not convinced with him. Araujo is always, going for he's always looking to mow down the opposition, which is fine, I guess, because that's his thing. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he's fast. But that's not how you play with Barcelona, because not only when you do that, not only are you risking a foul or risking a penalty, but also that's not how you win possession, right? When you go and mow down the defender, the attacker, that guy that you're marking, and then just send a long ball out, well, you did not regain possession. All you did was just send the ball back to Elche. Overall, that's all I have to say. Rashford today, not a good first half. Rashford was the opposite, not a good first half. His touches were very off. His control was off. Even his corner kick were off. But we saw a better Rashford during the second half where he was a little bit more active. Saw him pressing a little bit more. And, of course, his goal was just an absolute banger. Ferran Torres, besides the goal, I didn't really see much from him. And then with the good news is, of course, that Robert Lewandowski and Dani Olmo are both back. They both have been declared fit, and they both even got minutes today. Olmo came in for Fermin. Didn't really even notice that he was on the field once he did. And Lewy didn't really get to do much because, there weren't much chance creation once he was on the field. So that's all I have to say about today's match. Again, 2 different halves. The first half, we saw an improved Barca that looked more like last season's Barca. Second half, we saw the same crap as always. So I think this team, if they can build upon what they did during the first half, I think we can go back to our old selves and start competing. If we continue on down the same path that we saw during the second half, then we're definitely in trouble. And I don't know if we could compete for anything if that continues. Let's do a few more comments and then we'll end this live. And then later tonight, of course, I will be posting a news video. Paul says, great performance from Fermin, in my opinion. 100%. I think our whole midfield was really impressive today. Let's see. Football content says, to me, we were poor, like really poor in the 2 halves. I thought we were really poor in the second half, but first half, I actually like what I saw, especially the first 20 minutes. Charles says, you're right. We could have done with Rooney last weekend as well. Absolutely. And Abi Mono says, Koundé needs to pull up in some drip from now on. Bro's going into depression. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Before Koundé was allowed to wear all those crazy outfits and he performed much better. And then Flick said, no more fashion shows from anyone. Everybody has to show up in Barca gear. And now he's doing that. So I think you're right. I think you're onto something here. And Edward says, hi, Mo. Maybe I'm naive, but I thought Rashi had started to know to press, not just running at the opponent and letting the pass by, but getting close to force a pass, no shadow blocking. I saw more pressing from Rashford during the second half, not so much from the first one. And then let's do the last comment, and then we'll end this. A football contest says, today it was really clear that Pedri is the source and submit of our possession. We lacked possession in both half. Even Flick said after the match that if Pedri was really missed. Now, of course, you're going to miss Pedri. You're always going to miss Pedri because Pedri is the best midfielder in the world. But today, I didn't get that sense where we were in trouble without him. Could the match gone better with him on the field? Of course. He's the best midfielder. But today, I thought our midfield did its job. And today, I think I was very happy with Frankie and Fermin Lopez and Marc Casador's performances. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. I will see you guys in the news video. And of course, as always, Visca Barça.